Hi, my name's Irrelevant, and it's possible that I might have one too many guitars, almost to the point where I haven't got a place to put them all, and I'm hoping to get that sorted today. Now, some might debate that there's no such thing as too many guitars, and if you're an avid musician, well, I guess you'd be right. I'm kind of half there. You know, I've been playing guitar since I was 12 years old, and you're seeing over 20 years of accumulation right here, and well, it turns out I'm a bit more of a bassist. Now, I purchased these, Hercules wall mount hangers probably about 10 years ago and never ended up using them. Now, that's half because I was never quite sure where I wanted to mount them until recently, because I moved into this place about a year ago, and finally there's a section of wall space here that kind of makes sense, right? Kind of just stick them up there, and I think two guitars will fit nicely right in here. So finally, these things are going to get mounted. And well, as you can see, there's two surplus right there. I might not put those ones up, but I'm going to generally have enough stand once I'm done this so that I can set these all up. They've been virtually sitting in storage for almost a year. I took out the ones that I play most often, put them on the stands, and a bunch of other ones, they were in their cases in a closet for the longest time. So I'm kind of stoked to get them out. I grabbed one of them out the other night, started playing, and it was like, damn, that's such a nice guitar. I don't know why I don't play it more often. Well, I'll probably play it more often now. However, one of the first things I'm going to have to do is kind of clear out this area so I can do the work. All right, so one of the first things I want to do is determine where I'm going to mount them. Now, I'm going to be framing them kind of like between the end of this and the filing cabinet. So I got to kind of virtually square that off. That's going to require taking some measurements. So we're looking at virtually or pretty damn close to about 42 inches. I kind of have to divide that up now and kind of figure out where those puppers are going to go. So height of 42 is 21. So thanks, Obama. For reference, thanks, Obama. Thanks, Obama. So for reference, I want to know, that's probably right about there. Now, height of 21 is going to be something like 10 and a half, right? So we'll do 10 and a half there, and 10 and a half here. Now I want to find out if that's going to be an appropriate positioning for the guitars themselves. So at 10 and a half, they're hanging a little far apart. I want to bring them in a little bit. So let's guesstimate. It looks like roughly 3 inches inwards. Marking up my damn wall. I look a bit close, but the framing, I think I like them in between those two marks. So in between that 3, so I guess that's 1.5 inches in from half of half, if that makes any sense to you. Retaking that measurement, we're looking at about 1 foot from here and 30 inches. So from here, 1 foot, then 30 inches. And that should give us about where we want it to sit. Now, one of the first things that I want to do is determine where the stud work is. I invested in one of these silly things. They're not as awesome as you'd think they were, but they do work. They're in fact a little annoying to use. I gotta skate it across the damn wall like this. All right, so what do we have? Give me my pencil. Oh, there's a stud right here. Now where's the other one? Metal stud. Okay, we have a stud right here. Oh boy, are we getting that friggin' lucky, bud? Are those studs right perfectly about where we want it to be? That one is at 14 inches. That one's at 30, so that one's perfect. We're not gonna have to, but that one's at, let me double check. Double like a coffee, bud. Yeah. It's calling wooden stud right there. Yeah. I guess so. 14 inches. So how will a guitar look at 14 inches and 30 inches? Because that will save a lot of trouble. So you can get drywall anchors, and that could be good for about 20 to 30 pounds each. So maybe this thing's got 40 to 60 pounds of support, which is enough for a guitar, but it's not enough for an oops, accidentally slipped and yanked on it, or you know, I'm going to grab my guitar drunk off the wall or some stupid ish. I get a bit heavy-handed. You know, you could rip, especially with the leverage, you could rip that out relatively easy. So what I was gonna do was find the stud work, screw a board to the wall, something tasteful looking. I think I got some white painted wood kicking around somewhere, and then bolt these to that. But like, if that's, you know, bam, right there, bud, forget about it. You're ready to go. So 14 inches and 30 inches. You know what? Screw it. That's gonna be plenty good enough. Stud right into that wall and call it a day. This is gonna be a really easy install. Now I just wanna double check, measure this cabinet they're gonna be sitting over. We're gonna call it 26 inches. Just maybe right about perpendicular there. Oh, we forgot to put in the crystals. The actual working height of this assembly is going to the top of these guys. We wanna give it maybe 40 inches at the very least. Now I'm just trying to determine 40 inches is right about here. We're trying to determine the height of these hangers at this point. I'm trying to figure out where the arse, oh, okay, well, 40 inches it's gonna be, because any higher than that, it's gonna get rather inconvenient. Mock up, stick one of those puppers on there, stick it onto the wall, right? And then aligning the arse to about 40 inches, which that looks like right about right. So some of my guesstimations for where it's gonna be, we'll call that where I've already marked this center point. Center point for the actual shaft. And then we're gonna have to determine where the screws go thereafter. So we're gonna call a center point here. We're gonna make that a little X. Now I want to find out from the floor. Oh, we're looking at about 71 3/8. So let's go over to the other guy here. And at 71 3/8, we're gonna pop an X there. That's gonna be center point. Well, let's estimate about where the actual screw mounts are gonna be. Right there and there. Pretty good, pretty good. We're gonna need a level. I'm gonna level with you. I don't like it when things aren't straight. So, at least with this guy, I can find the mark here, right? And then arrange it so that the little bubble says that this guy is straight. And then, put a cross mark And then now we have two little X's right where we want to drill in our holes. And now I'm going to do some more measuring. That little X mark is at 73 1/8. So now I'm going to go over to this guy. And from the floor, 73 1/8. Put a little X, or no, put a sideways dash like. Now how far are these apart? 3 7/8. So 3 7/8 right there. And now level it out and put our vertical marks. Oh, there you have it. You know, mark, 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 mark. That's where we're going to be drilling our holes. Went into the hardware library, found some very utilitarian number 8 screws. Oh, yes, those are long boys right there. Long boys indeed. They're 2 1/4 inch into a piece of board that is probably 3 1/2. So I think that will hold very, very well. Knowing that these are number 8 screws, now I need a drill bit, usually I think 1/8, sometimes 7/16. It's to taste, honestly. When you're drilling a pilot hole, it's kind of Price is Right rules, as close as you can get without going over. Now, I'm going to determine the working depth of the screw. So I'm gonna set the drill bit so it's about the same length as how far the screw is gonna go in, minus just a little bit, you know, maybe about 1/8 inch at the most. This drill I use specifically for piloting holes because it's mellower. It's not going to be like a quick like chowder in there. Kind of want to pull out before you go all the way in. Yeah, clear the crap out of the hole. Otherwise, it just binds up and then it becomes difficult to drill. Yeah, there's definitely stud back there. See what happens? And clear it out and stop drilling. Once I clear it out, it goes right in there. All right, we got some holes there. Now, one thing you gotta worry about with drywall is it's kind of like rock based or something, so it can dull a bit if you're drilling into it often. I should have used a Milwaukee drill so I can get the endorsement. Now it's honestly just a case of schlepping her up there. We're gonna put a couple screws in one of the holders. We're gonna make it so that it peeps out a little bit, right? Peep, peep, you know, but don't put it in the microwave, this is metal. And then those holes, they're gonna find their little home. Let's drive them home. You don't need one of these to do it, just makes it easier. Yeah, but that ain't going nowhere, bud. Well, maybe if I hung off it, I'd break it, but standard incision for a non-standard specimen. Just schlep it in there now. Ho. Ho, ho, ho. Now we get to do that again. So remember, let's get the little peeps. Little peeps. Let's get the little peeps. Little peeps. Oh yeah. Let them find their home. I measured pretty good. Oh, this was just a little off, bud. Oh boy. The fact that it had to use so much torque to get in there is a testament to how tight that hole is going to be. Be careful doing this with a hand drill. Drills are just, they suck at driving screws. But you know, use your discretion. If you're not experienced driving screws with a drill, just use a normal screwdriver, take your time. Now I always pilot the holes because you end up getting it's better, right? If you clear material out to make a hole, then when you drive a screw in, you're not splitting anything, you know? There could be a possibility you got the stud wrong, you're just at the edge of the stud, and if you just drive a screw in there, you're gonna split a piece of the stud off. You don't want to be damaging stuff inside the walls of your home. So, you know, the easiest best bet to do is to just like pilot that hole, so then you know there's a solid grip in there. And you can usually, by piloting a hole, get the screw to have an overall better grip, right? The other thing to take into consideration, wires. There is, you know, a plug in the wall right there. So you gotta think about that. You know, look at the wall, see, are there any receptacles? If there is a receptacle, you know, one of two things is usually gonna happen. There's gonna be a wire directly above it going straight up, or there's gonna be a wire going across to each receptacles. In this case, I happen to know that this one's going across, so there's no wire here. However, the receptacle box is mounted on this side of the stud work, and my thing is mounted right on the stud work. So, you know, if you're going into a stud, chances are you're not going to have to worry about wires. Sometimes there are wires going across a stud, so keep that in mind. Accidentally hitting a wire is more of an issue if you're doing the drywall anchors. If you're doing drywall anchors, you're probably going to be drilling a blunter hole just through the drywall. So since you're not forcing the drill really hard, you're going to be unlikely to puncture the wire, even if it is right back there. You might just end up pushing it out of the way. But, you know, you have to think about that. You have to think about where's the wires. Now, the fancy little Wallbot buddy there can kind of pick up on them. It can let me know where the wires are. But if you're using a more conventional way of finding stud work, well, just keep that in mind. And of course, one of the most important parts of the process that you can't go without doing is the cleanup. Before we forget, kind of just want to erase the marks we put on the wall. If you need to mark up your wall, use like a pencil like HB and just like lightly, you know, don't freaking press in there. Chances are they'll erase right off, especially if it's quality paint. If it's not quality paint, you might strip a chip off the wall. I've seen some crappy paint jobs in my time. Yay! Now let's put everything back into place. All right. So, survey says... Oh, what's this? Perfect. Just a little bit of handyman work. Just a little bit of handyman work. So, if I can do it, maybe you can too. I don't know. I got skills. In the meantime, I have a problem solved, and maybe you learned something, maybe not. Maybe you're entertained. Why am I trying to predict who you are and what you're thinking? I just a guy installing stuff in his home, and now I'm just rambling. I'll see you later, bud. Cut.